Hi, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be discussing all things Australia. If you're new here, my name is Alisha. I'm a wife, mom, middle school teacher by day, and a sewing content creator on the nights and weekends. Now, this video is definitely going to be a recap of our trip and different from normal content on this video, but I put a poll on Instagram and a lot of my followers asked me to do a vlog for Australia, and so that's what this video is. In a nutshell, Australia was a blast. We spent 2.5 weeks with family down in the state of South Australia. So if you aren't familiar, Australia has states just like the United States. And so my husband comes from the state of South Australia. So we spent all of our time in the capital city of Adelaide. Now, it goes without saying, I am jet lagged, so you're gonna have to forgive me if I make any mistakes while I'm talking. But primarily, I will be doing voiceover for majority of this video. It turns out I'm a really bad vlogger. So I got a lot of videos while we were at places, but I didn't really turn and talk to the video. So I think that's a skill I need to work on because I did absolutely zero talking to the video while we were at different places. But I definitely want to show you the hidden gems if you ever make your way down to Australia. Definitely want to show you the hidden gems of South Australia. Most Americans only visit New South Wales, which contains Sydney, the capital city, or they'll go to Victoria, the state of Victoria, which has, well, as Americans say Melbourne, but Australians will say Melbourne. So most Americans usually get to those two places or the Great Barrier Reef up north, but my husband comes from the south, and there is really beautiful things about South Australia that deserve to be shown. So that's what today's video is all about. So I can't wait to get started and show you our trip. We were there for 2.5 weeks, and yeah, we did a lot. I might recap a few of our makes in this video because I did make, if you watched previous videos, I made 2 coats and then I made my daughter 5 garments for this trip because, as a reminder, which is actually really shocking to me, but I guess a lot of people didn't pay attention in grade school, but Australia is in the southern hemisphere. So whenever you cross that equator, if North America is having summer, that means below the equator is winter. It's opposite. So a lot of my friends were really confused why I was making winter pieces, and then why when I was like posting content like in real time, like why we were wearing big heavy coats and why my daughter was in a beanie. And I'm like, you guys, it's winter. Like, don't you remember from elementary school, like learning about that? So anyways, that was quite shocking to me. And you know, most things don't shock me as an educator. But yeah, that one really threw me. Like, I had to keep reminding people that it was winter in Australia. So I'd like to make that reminder to you. It was winter in Australia and we are here currently in our summer break. So I feel like I did lose my summer glow being down in winter for 2.5 weeks. And that also meant that the sun did set at 5 o'clock and it was depressing. So that was the only bad thing about our trip, but everything else was awesome. So without further ado, let's get into my trip. In Southern California, which means that our flight took off out of LAX, was our daughter's first flight ever. So we were incredibly nervous about how she was going to do on the flight. The way there, the flight was 15 hours from LA to Sydney, and then we had an additional 2-hour flight from Sydney to Adelaide. Surprisingly, I did not shoot that much content on the plane because my daughter slept 10 of the 15 hours on the way there, which was a miracle, and I ended up getting 8 hours of sleep myself. Because our daughter is under the age of 2, we were able to book the bassinet seats, which was a true lifesaver because she slept in that little bassinet shown here. I will say I got great tips for toys for toddlers, and I'm definitely going to link them below, but the sticker book was the biggest hit for the 5 hours we did have to entertain her. When you land in Sydney, if you have a domestic flight, you actually have to take a bus over to the domestic terminal. So this is us taking the bus and then getting on our second flight of the day after our first 15-hour flight. It truly was a Christmas miracle though, because our daughter was an infant ticket. She had to sit on our lap with an extender seatbelt. And on this flight from Sydney to Adelaide, the stewardess let us move up to a row that was free, and she kept it free for us. So my daughter actually had her own seat on this flight, and she did so good. I'm an incredibly nervous flyer, and so for my daughter to do so well, actually I had zero anxiety on these flights. So it was a great time. I did want to hit some content of flying over Sydney because Australia is just so beautiful. Once we landed in Adelaide, we went to my in-laws' house and quickly showered, and we pretty much went to bed at 5 p.m. But the next day we were on the road to my favorite place in South Australia. When we lived here, we always brought our friends. It's called Gorge Wildlife Park. Humble opinion, it's the best wildlife park in all of South Australia. Most states in Australia have banned being able to hold a koala, but this wildlife park lets you hold koalas for a fee, and it's just for a quick photo op. And here's the map that I pulled from their website, just so you can get an idea of the type of animals that you would see if you came here. I believe the entrance was $20, and then to hold the koala was an additional $20. So super affordable compared to the other wildlife parks in South Australia. For a majority of the videos, I'm going to leave the sound on so you can hear just how loud the birds are. When people ask me if things are really huge in Australia and if I'm afraid of the snakes and spiders, I tell them no, I'm afraid of the birds. Can you touch it? Oh. As you can see, it's a beautiful sanctuary full of wallabies, kangaroos, and all the cutie Australian animals. Here's me saying hi to one that was hiding in the corner. And obviously I wouldn't be a real sewing content creator if I didn't capture all of the me-mades in the wild. Most people's favorite Australian animal is a koala or a kangaroo, but mine is the wombat, and I was so glad that he was out roaming around while we were there. It's ironic that a week earlier we were actually at the San Diego Zoo visiting the koala enclosure, where you cannot get this close to koalas. So if you really want a close experience with koalas, you gotta go to South Australia. And the best surprise was actually seeing the Tasmanian devil out and about. I loved it. Another video dedicated to the birds. Just listen.
Yeah, they're all gonna sit on my face.
Wildlife Park does koala holding 2 times a day. Better? After a few hours at the wildlife park, we stopped and ate at Cuddly Creek Grew. They have amazing food and a beautiful location. When my husband and I went to go use the restrooms, we wandered down over to the creek and just took in the sights and sounds of South Australia. I ordered the minestrone soup, which was delicious, but I also indulged in a scone, and yes, I'm gluten-free, but I had to. It didn't really affect me as much in Australia as it does in the US. The next day, we took our daughter to our old stomping grounds here at the beach. My husband and I used to walk past this square every night. The square is Henley Beach Square, and that is the Henley Beach Jetty. We were forecasted to get rain, so I was soaking up all of the sun this day. And I was also just in disbelief that we were back to a place that we used to walk every night and dream up dreams of moving back to America and having kids, and I couldn't believe that we were actually back in this spot with a dream fulfilled. I also got baptized at this beach, so that's a fun fact. We had a really big walk and found a playground for our daughter to play at, and then for the evening we ate at our favorite restaurant. So those are our old stomping grounds. This is the Grange Jetty Cafe, and you can see it's a jetty down there, also known as a pier. Then you go this way, and when we walk this way, our house was the big orange building. So I'll probably speed up this walking right now. Or not. It's only going to be a matter of seconds. But you'll see a big orange building with teal green trim. And that's a house we used to live in. So it's tons of condos, and we were in the condo on the 3rd floor. So I'll cross the street here. This is where we lived, here in Grange, South Australia, on the 3rd floor with the ocean view. So this is the street, and the ocean is literally, you can see it right there. So as we're walking, we lived right here, up on that 3rd floor unit, right there. That was our kitchen window. Right up there. Out of the gate. And when we walked out of the gate, we did a quick stroll. And we would cross the street. It's so funny walking in Australia because you have to look the other direction. And I'm not used to it. There we go. And right here, so you can see a path straight to the beach. So every night we would go for a walk on the beach because we lived right there. And those 2 windows right there, the big one with the blinds and the little one was our bathroom window, and the big one with the blinds was our 2nd bedroom because it was a 2-bedroom condo. And then we'd walk right down here to go to the beach. So it was pretty cool. So there it is. We walked all the way down the walkway from where we used to live to the beach. And there's the jetty. And this used to be our old stomping grounds in South Australia. After reminiscing, we were on our way to our favorite local restaurant to meet family for dinner, and it was just really fun and sweet walking down the jetty with our daughter, making memories. I was secretly a nervous wreck because there were only just the metal wires hanging, preventing my daughter from falling into the ocean, but we did good.
Not a good sunset.
Following day we rested because jet lag was getting to us, but we also visited our old gym where we met playing basketball. Didn't film much of the game, but they won. The following day we were out to Victor Harbor to visit family. Had an amazing lunch at the golf course, and because family works there, we got the exclusive tour of the golf course. We jumped on golf carts to go see all the kangaroos down on the greens. And you might hear my daughter call them bunnies. We didn't want to correct it. It was very cute. So, kangaroos, aka bunnies, coming up. Find it hilarious that golf carts were on the same side as golf carts in the US and not set for the Australian side, if you catch what I mean. Also, no kangaroos or any Australian animals were harmed in the making of this video. They were just grazing on the grass, and then if we got too close, they would jump away. So you can see my husband's cousin in the front, and we got out. I wasn't prepared for my daughter to run and be so brave. So after that, we kept her in the cart. But you can see there were so many kangaroos just doing their thing, having a blast while people are golfing in the background. I love it. It's so Australia. These are definitely the types of moments that you don't necessarily get, but it was so fun to see them hopping around in their element and trying to see the little babies in their mums' pouches. For lunch with the family, we ventured down into Victor Harbor and stopped by the city attractions. We did not walk across to Granite Island, and they were no longer running the horse with carts. Find some hot donuts, and our daughter enjoyed the playground before the drive home. Next day was a rainy one, and I got to wear my new leopard coat. We went into the city and visited the Museum of Art, or the art gallery rather. Surprisingly, the art gallery was a place that I always used to visit when I was homesick because they had a lot of American artists, But I also worked in the city, and this was within walking distance. So sometimes on my breaks, I would just go inside and just look at all the beautiful art. So it was fun to be back and see the new exhibits. I love looking at all the tapestries that they have. These were all new from the last time that we visited in 2019. Obviously that would be the case, but it was just really fun to take it all in. Some of the galleries were still the same. This has still been there since 2019. New exhibit that everyone was raving about was the Monet lily pad exhibit, and so I did buy an extra ticket for that, which was $30, and it wasn't worth the price. They only had one Monet. It was incredible to see it in person, but we left the art museum and then walked around the river. Adelaide's population is roughly 3 million, and so while it is a big city, it feels small, especially coming from California and LA, but it's such a beautiful city. Our daughter enjoyed all of the swans, and her grandpa was really concerned about her falling in, so I'm glad he was there to hold her. We also visited the Adelaide Oval, which hosts Adelaide's footy teams, which is different than American football, so it's Australian rules footy. Outside of the football grounds is one of my husband's favorite churches. Adelaide is actually known as being the city of churches, and so this is probably their most iconic church in the city. My husband does have a tattoo of it on his arm, which I love because it's his nod to home. Next morning, we woke up and probably went to one of the most iconic spots in Adelaide. I'm just kidding. Fly is the Australian version of Joanne, and my gosh, it was so good to be back in a big box store like Joanne. I don't know about you, but I miss Joann's so much. So just being back and flipping through the patterns just felt so good. And it was fun to see myself in stores again, see all the rest of the KnowMe gang. These are the 3 patterns of mine I could still find. I actually really love this clip that my husband got of myself and my daughter on accident, because I never got this opportunity to do this with her in store. The last time Joanne had clothes, she was a baby, so I just laid her on top of my patterns, but this time she actually got to look with me. Later on that week, we were on our way back to one of our favorite beach towns. Living at the beach, we always walked our beach, or we drove a little bit south and walked to this beach because they have such great walking trails. So we took our daughter for the day down there. She got to have ice cream, which was so exciting, and we found a playground to play, and we just walked it in, looking at all of our favorite houses that we used to say, wouldn't it be so fun to live across the street from the beach? A few days later, we were back on the road to the world's biggest rocking horse. Now, I know it sounds cheesy, but it's actually a place I highly recommend if you ever do find yourself in South Australia. It's family friendly, but they also have a wildlife park there as well. And my daughter had the best experiences with the kangaroos here than we did at Gorge Wildlife. So even if seeing a giant rocking horse isn't really up your alley, I can't recommend their little bush park enough. We also did climb to the top of that rocking horse, although I stayed at the 2nd level. I didn't go all the way up because fear of heights. But we enjoyed getting to know all of the animals on the property, and I'm telling you, my daughter has no fear just walking right up to the kangaroos, aka bunnies. These kangaroos were so friendly. We didn't even buy feed, and they were still coming right up to our hands to be friendly. Some were lounging and having a snooze. Others were sunbathing. They were so cute. They did have an assortment of wallabies and kangaroos. Most of them appeared to be female because they were smaller in size. So 2 things shocked me on this trip. My daughter being fearless when it comes to animals, and then also being a great flyer. So as you can see, she loved petting all of the kangaroos and thought they were the coolest things on the planet.
Can we get some
My
good grass
husband
for you?
also loved being back with his kind. When we went to the rocking horse, we only had a few days left in our trip. We did a lot of family stuff that I didn't really film. I just filmed the highlights of places we went and visited. But it was really cool to see my daughter be able to soak up her experience because she is half Australian. So this is her country as well. So you can see the sheer size of this. I'm 6'2" underneath this thing. A few days of the trip, we stayed local to us in wine country. Adelaide has an extensive wine country that covers pretty much the entire region. It's so beautiful. It's roughly the same size as Napa, California. Great wines. We visited a chocolate tier place, and then we also went to a local winery called Melba's in the Barossa Valley, and it was just fun soaking up, our final days with our family. We all had coffees, and believe it or not, we didn't even have wines, and we just had a fun time hanging out, just soaking up the moments before we needed to head back home. My in-laws also surprised me with a cute little birthday cake to round out our trip. I did not spend my actual birthday in Australia, but it was fun to have a birthday cake moment with them. And then unfortunately, the day we left, it started raining again, probably representing our tears of sadness. It is so bittersweet, loving people so deeply that live on the other side of the world. My daughter's so blessed to be loved by so many people, and we even had to buy a whole nother bag for all the toys and presents that she received from her Australian family. One of my favorite things about the Adelaide airport is that you can actually still go up to the gate, so we were able to wave to our family goodbye as we took off. Home wasn't that smooth of sailing for me. Fortunately, we came to find out that I contracted RSV as well as my daughter, and so my ears did not do well, but when I went to the bathroom, I found this sign, and I bought these earplugs, and they were a lifesaver. My daughter, she slept the entire flight, so that was a blessing. I'm glad her ears weren't hurting as bad as mine, but it was a bittersweet way to end the trip. I was excited to get home and be back in my bed because I wasn't feeling well, and it was such a contrast landing in LA with all the concrete. But we got home safe and sound. The flights were shorter on the way back because we were flying with the winds, and we were just so thankful to have such a good time in Australia with our family and friends. Our family and friends watch this. We love you, and we thank you so much for such a fun trip. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to see us and meet our daughter. We had to wait about 30 minutes in customs, but we finally got home. Had to sit in rush hour traffic, but we were back. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more. Obviously, this is different from my normal content. I never recap trips, but because so many people asked on Instagram, I delivered. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about Australia, be sure to pop them down in the comments, or if you are gonna go on a trip, I'd love to help you with anything I can. I did live there for almost 4 years, so it was fun to go back and revisit and see all of our family and have them be able to meet our daughter, especially our large extended Australian family. And so we were just really had a fun time. So hope you enjoyed. Until next time.